not taking advantage of, you know, the play call and executing. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. You don't lose like that without everything going bad. So we haven't played that bad all year. Just couldn't find that spark. Couldn't find that.
Following the Kansas City Chiefs' humiliating 40-22 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59, the mood in the locker room was solemn. Both players and fans were feeling disappointed after the Chiefs' hopes for a historic free agency were scuppered. The team's standout quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, accepted a large portion of the blame and acknowledged that his turnovers were crucial to the result of the game. The Chiefs' star tight end, Travis Kelce, sat quietly in his locker room, the sorrow of the loss visible on his face. The Eagles' defense had successfully neutralized Kelce throughout the game, leaving him catchless, an uncommon and humiliating experience for the seasoned athlete. Some fans pointed their ire at Kelce's personal life, especially his well-publicized romance with pop sensation Taylor Swift, while the media was ablaze with post-game analysis and criticism. Online trolls argued that Swift was to blame for the Chiefs' loss because his focus had been impaired. Unbeknownst to the general public, Taylor Swift had been Kelce's unwavering rock over the season. Swift frequently attended games and supported him from the stands as their connection, which started in 2023, developed into a deep partnership. Swift was a reassuring presence amid the turmoil as she waited outside the dressing room after the game. Their eyes locked when Kelce came out, and a lot was said in that little conversation. Swift walked over to him with a look of unflinching support and empathy. "Travis, I know this isn't how you envisioned tonight, but I want you to remember something," she said gently, her voice breaking the stillness of the hallway. As Kelce gazed at him, a flurry of feelings, including disappointment, annoyance, and a persistent feeling of failure, were visible in his eyes. "You are not defined by this game," Swift went on in a stern, yet kind tone. "I think you're a champion because of who you are off the field, not because of what you do on it. Your value isn't determined by a scoreboard or other people's perceptions." Standing there, Kelce took in what she had to say. Her viewpoint was enlightening in the high-stress realm of professional athletics, where achievements are frequently measured in terms of victories and defeats. "You've demonstrated heart, leadership, and resilience." Swift went on to say that no game result can take away those attributes, which are what really count. Being so publicly and personally defeated left Kelce momentarily dumbfounded. Swift's steadfast faith in him gave him a sense of comfort he wasn't aware he needed. With a voice full of passion, he eventually managed to utter, "Thank you, Taylor. Without you, I'm not sure what I would do." Her smile was a bright spot in the dark hallway. Travis Kelce found a new purpose in the midst of the aftermath of loss, and you'll never have to know he understood that even though the path ahead would be difficult, he had the support and strength to tackle whatever came next with Taylor Swift by his side. The world outside was a flurry of conjecture and analysis as they left the stadium hand in hand. But inside their shared space, a deep link and understanding had been cemented, one that went beyond the fleeting highs and lows of celebrity and athletic success. The media continued to analyze the Chiefs' performance in the days that followed, with many citing Mahomes' unusual errors as a game-changing moment. Sports channels and publications were dominated by conversations over possible roster and strategy changes for the squad. In the middle of this chaos, Kelce and Swift withdrew from the spotlight and sought comfort in one another's company. They took some time to think back on the season, the difficulties they had encountered, and the lessons they had learned. Swift looked at Kelce thoughtfully one evening as they sat on the veranda of his house in Kansas City. "You know," she started, "I've been considering how we respond to failure. Throughout my career, I've had albums that didn't do well, received negative reviews, and battled with personal issues in the spotlight. But each time I managed to use that as fuel to improve my music." Kelce nodded while paying close attention. "Perhaps this defeat is a chance for you and the team to reevaluate and bounce back stronger," Swift added. "The way you get back up after falling is more important than the fall itself." Kelce had always taken great pride in his tenacity, but seeing it presented in this light gave him a fresh perspective, so her remarks struck a deep chord with him. Then he answered softly, "You're right. Although it's a difficult chapter, this is only a portion of the greater narrative. It's not the end." Swift grinned, her eyes gleaming with pride, and she recalled that every great tale has its share of struggles and setbacks. That's what gives the victories their significance. The electrifying energy of Super 59 filled the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Under the leadership of standout tight end Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs were on track to win the Super Bowl for the third time in a row and create history. Kelce's girlfriend Taylor Swift was a ray of hope for the fans. Her appearance was evidence of their well-known partnership. Swift embodied her distinctive look while wearing a high-top white boot, denim shorts, and an oversized white jacket. Her relationship with Kelce was symbolized with a ruby-encrusted T-pendant necklace that she co-designed with Lorraine Schwartz and sparkled against her outfit. She sat in her suite with friends Ashley and Ice Spice by her side, her gaze focused on the field. Expectations were high going into the game, but the Chiefs soon found themselves on the defensive. The Chiefs' defense found it difficult to keep up with the Philadelphia Eagles' unrelenting attack. Over the course of the game, it became clear that the Chiefs would not win. When the Eagles scored another touchdown in the stands, Swift's face became more thoughtful and her cheers became muted, and her excitement gave way to worry. Swift's face dropped as the stadium burst into cheers. She looked at her phone, maybe in search of distraction or peace, but she couldn't find either. There was a flurry of cheers and moans around the stadium as the final whistle blew, indicating the Eagles' 40-22 victory. Swift knew how much this loss meant to Kelce, so she stood there with a mask of empathy and disappointment on her face. Kelce was sitting on a bench in the locker room, his head lowered, his jersey drenched in defeat and perspiration. Some of his teammates talked quietly while others engaged in whispered exchanges. Swift entered as the door cracked open, her presence a soft intruder into the solemn ambiance. For a brief while, Kelce was unable to speak as he looked up and met her gaze. He had always been the self-assured, gregarious athlete, but now he was just a man who was hurting from losing. Swift squatted next to him, her hand resting on me as she walked toward him with deliberate strides. "I know this isn't easy," she said quietly. Travis. He gave a sour laugh that was devoid of humor. "You may say that," he said in an emotionally charged tone. Swift gently squeezed his leg, but she replied, her voice growing more forceful with conviction. "You led your team with heart and passion, and you gave it your all, and that's the important thing." With a rueful smile on his lips, Kelce shook his head. "Tay, I'm not sure. I feel like I failed everyone." Swift stood and extended her hand to him. "Come on, let's leave," she said. Together, they left the locker room with their hands clasped. The cool night air was a sharp contrast to the intense heat of the game, and as they got closer to the parking lot, several Eagles supporters saw them and started booing loudly since they knew Swift. Swift froze in her tracks, stunned by the animosity. With a defensive stance, Kelce moved in front of him out of reflex. He shouted, his voice rising over the din. "Hey, come on, respect yourself." The fans yelled insults and jeered loudly. Swift was a little uneasy, but she maintained her composure and her stare. Kelce's face softened as he turned to face him. "Are you okay?" he inquired. With a slight smile on her lips, she nodded. "I'm all right," she said. As the sounds of the crowd faded behind them, they proceeded to their car. Swift leaned her head against the window inside, her mind racing. The car's hum filled the quiet as Kelce turned on the engine. Swift turned to face Kelce as they sped through the vibrant post-game city of New Orleans. "I want you to know that I'm proud of you, not just for today, but for everything you do," she said steadily, starting with Travis. Kelce's eyes softened as he looked at him. With sincerity in his voice, he said, "Thanks, Tay." For a while, the weight of the day settled between them as they drove in quiet. At last, Swift resumed his speech. "You know," she continued in a lighthearted tone, "I think we both need a nice meal." Kelce's laugh was warm and sincere. As he turned the car toward a restaurant he knew well, he said, "I know just the place." The outside world appeared to disappear when they sat down to eat. As the night went on, they knew that they could handle whatever came next because it was just the two of them, finding solace in one another's company in the midst of the world's madness.